evening and welcome to this special broadcast with me, Blanche Koreses, for the presidential year and review of 2018. Well, I'm privileged to be sitting down with President Geingob to gauge his views on domestic, regional and international issues as he has represented Namibia at several platforms. Excellency, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start off with domestic issues. You dubbed this year, 2018, as the year of reckoning. So how would you describe it within your administration?
Well, year of reckoning started with tough actions we took. Actions to try and look at wastage in government. We looked at the State House, we renovated the State House, but we said we're not going to buy any furniture. We used the furniture which was there, which was wasted. We took actions about charges of corruption against certain ministers. Talks have been going on. I wrote letters. I kind of pointed out areas in which they were accused of and say, what do you say? And then they replied. And when they replied, I'm not a judge, so I sent that over to the institution that is established to deal with those kind of situations, Anti-Corruption Commission. It's where it is now. There are other actions we took because in governance, people outside don't understand it's not an easy thing. We have people's bread. You don't just fire people when there is already unemployment, a level so high outside. But we talk to people. We have to talk. We warn them. They apologize. You give them a second chance. So that's the area where people are saying we don't take action. We only take action against those who are challenging, which is a very, very wrong conclusion or charge. Even if you are playing tonight Liverpool versus Arsenal, there are rules to the game. When you are in the same team, you play according to the team's planned program. If you don't follow that, the coach will either take you out, bring somebody else. So this thing of saying we act against those who disagree. In that case, I was making a joke to say, then I would have fired all the ministers, most of them. But many of them have been opposing me. There are people who are still in parliament, like Bendugeni, who is on my card. I could have withdrawn her a long time ago. So that's not the issue, definitely. But if you are on the party ticket, if you are in the cabinet, there is a cabinet handbook which is clear to each and every minister. When you are there, you can disagree as you want. But moment a decision has been taken, majority decision, then you all are bound to support that. Even those who are opposing must go and defend it. And it says, if you cannot, then you have to resign. It's not me who's saying that. It's a cabinet handbook. So that's one of the things people are saying. We are only revenging on those who are independent-minded. You cannot be independent-minded if you are on a platform, on the manifesto of the party, which brought you to the parliament.
Now, Excellency, that's a very interesting point you are making. Recently, there were also reports calling you as wanting a yes man or yes woman to be in your cabinet, but you made changes in your cabinet at the beginning of the year and just recently as well. So how would you describe your leadership style to Namibians out there?
Well, you will be judged by how you treat the smallest person, not the strongest person. And if you go to my house, you will see people who have with me for about 25 years, working with me. Small people. You can go and check me from the institute days. I have still people who are still sending me Christmas cards and so on. So leadership styles differ. There are leaders who are consulting type, who are selling type, and I believe in those two. I consult, I sell. Now, selling type of leaders, since they are selling their views on the backgrounds, you do not know whether there was disagreement or not. But once I have sold the idea and people bought into it, when I talk or when that leader talks, it looks like nobody says anything against. But it has been debated on the backgrounds. And therefore, when you are talking, it looks like only one person is talking. But you saw also my style compared to the whole world, that I'm always including other ministers. There are cases where people in the past, in other countries, would never say a thing when the president is there. When the president speaks. But you see in my case, as a Minister of Trade, I will have my staff, my permanent secretaries talking at meetings. Same with the ministers. And some are now saying it's a communistic type of a thing. I used to have these press conferences where I was getting all the ministers. And that's a chance. You will never get it anywhere else, where you can ask each and every minister. Nobody asks questions. So inclusivity, I practice it in the office everywhere.
So, Excellency, that means that you describe yourself as a consultative leader. Now, the reports of you letting go of some ministers, replacing them with retired civil servants, well, what do you make of that?
Which ones?
The report, if I am to bring in the recent case, the retired former permanent secretary, now our health minister, Dr. Shangula.
What is wrong? Is it the fact that he was retired, or what is the problem?
There is no...
He's not qualified?
Qualified, Excellency.
Is he qualified? There is no limitation to whom you call to. As a president, you appoint and you fire, basically. But we don't fire left and right. We had a talk with Minister of Health. Long discussions. He even at one point said he cannot maybe manage people. Because ministers, health ministers or health doctors have only one person with them. They don't work with people. So he even said, maybe I could be a consultant. You can appoint. Now I was shocked that he goes and now says he didn't know anything. You see, I believe in truth. I like to tell truth openly, and I want people to do the same too. We talked with him, we agreed that there are problems in the Ministry of Health. Everybody knows that. And therefore we said maybe the best is to get somebody. And I got a person who is qualified. The only thing people can question is if he's not qualified, not his age. He's still working. So what is the problem? Let's give the man a chance to prove himself. There are problems in that ministry.
So the health sector is in safe hands. Now, Excellency, let's change gears to the party politics. Swapo, I'm sure you as the president is gearing up for 2019 national elections. So how are you going to ensure that the party remains united and perhaps retain the two-thirds majority?
It's a party divided. How is the party divided? The late Comrade Ilonga, we just buried, was saying, let's not have contested elections. Contested elections will divide the party. He was saying it at about 3 congresses, but there were those who were pushing for, not me, those who were pushing for democracy. We must move on and so on. Therefore, we adopted contested style of elections. When you are having contested elections, there will be sides, there will be blocks. Whether you call them team what, there will be 2 or 3 sides. Those who are supporting this candidate and those who are supporting that candidate. Therefore, you must have a manifesto. You go and campaign, you say, I will do this, I will do this. People buy into that. Then you go to the people's court, electorate. When people therefore pass a judgment, you are supposed to accept that. Because we are saying, we are in the same party, I said, it's in the party, it's not enemies fighting. But if we can avoid fighting the person, but playing the ball, when the game is over, mini election period is over, you can kick the ball away, hug, and move on. Now, we went to the People's Court. I got 75%. That's elections. Others were supposed to accept that and move on. Now, those people who lost, when we have a platform, we are better negotiating the issues on which they stood for, which were defeated. That's not how elections work. Elections are there to decide if you are two or three. We were three candidates. They had their platform. I had my platform. I got 75%. They were supposed to all come and now join us, and we move on. That's how democracy works. Now, if you stand for something, you are defeated, then you can still continue and say, give us the platform so that we can pursue our defeated ideas. That amounts to that. Idea is once you are defeated, and I was defeated 2 times. I didn't cry. I greeted Comrade Vetpoe, I congratulated him, and then we worked together. I was defeated from Politburo with 1 vote. After I was told I was in, I didn't cry. I went and talked at Swapo. That's how we maintain unity. Now, some people, which I call in my doctoral thesis, a Savimbi syndrome, is if I'm not in, I destroy. Savimbi was doing that in Angola. So there are people, when they are defeated, Swapo is dead. There are problems in Swapo. But you were defeated. You stood for something. And some of the scores are so embarrassing.
And personal. And personal. From outsider's perspective, can one call it personal?
Well, what do you mean by personal?
As in not playing the ball, but the man.
Oh, yeah, but what I was saying is that if somebody gets 39% and I get 75%, how do you still talk big? That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, now
You have to accept the defeat and we hold hands and move on.
So, Your Excellency, your door as party president remains open. The party is to go to elections next year with the opposition.
Did you hear my statement I made at the Congress? I called for unity. I said, elections are over, let's hold hands and move on. Now, people are bringing in 2 threats. You don't rule with 2 threats. You amend the constitution with 2 threats. Now, all of a sudden, idea of 2 threats have come out. Even if you get 51%, you rule, you govern. So the people have to divert attention from things, create new problems. I don't want to join that team. We are going to go to elections, we are going to campaign. If Namibian people gave us 2 thirds, we have 2 thirds. If they gave us 1/3, or whatever you call it, we are, as long as we have majority to govern, which we'll get, by the way, we are going to govern and lead the country.
Now, to regional issues, you assumed SADC chairmanship in August at the summit held in Windhoek. So, and you visited several countries within the region, looking at issues that those countries are facing. So, how was your philosophy in that?
Firstly, I saw a newspaper having front page, apparently trying to expose my trips. I was just laughing. That means I'm working. I'm working to earn the salaries I'm getting because that's my job description, is to put Namibia on the map. And lucky enough, since we are so transparent, we are the ones who announce our trips. We are the ones who are saying how many days we are going to stay there. That's where they got it from. What is the news about? But sensation to think that's going to detract people. Oh, it's just traveling. That's my job description. So as a chairman of SADC, I have to travel. People are coming here to come and consult. SADC is dealing with elections this coming year. Most countries are going to have elections. And SADC wants to have peaceful, democratic elections. Hence, we are concerned about elections in Madagascar that took place. We are told now one of the candidates is leading. He may be declared a winner. We are very proud of that development, that Madagascar had a very peaceful, very competitive elections. And it looks like in the runoff, one of them will be announced very soon. I hope the other one will accept the defeat, and people of Madagascar will now build their country. Same in DRC. The DRC is a very complicated situation. In 1965, Kwame Nkrumah wrote a book saying Crisis in Congo. The issues he raised there are still applicable in today's DRC. So it's a huge country, it's a rich country, it's a, as President Nyoma used to refer to it, as a heartbeat of Africa. Very important country. Neighbored by 9 countries, rich in resources, but not developed. Therefore, we all have to cross our fingers that the elections to be held very soon will be successful, that there will be peace, so that Congolese who suffered for too long can now think of developing their country, to stay in their country, not run away to Angola, to Namibia, but to stay and develop their country. We cross our fingers.
I had an interview with your visitor, the former Prime Minister of Kenya, Mr. Raila Odinga, not so long ago, where he called on SADC and also President Kabila himself to say that it needs to make sure that these elections will not have an aftermath similar to the one that he went through in Kenya. And his parting words were, Kabila learned from Odinga and Kenyatta the way we did it in Kenya. So any comment on that?
Well, firstly, people are trying to say SADC is not doing this and this. What I said in that meeting when I was in Brazzaville is, I quoted President Castro, whom I always quote. When President Nyoma went there and told him about, we are now going to go to elections instead of fighting, it took 1 hour, and Castro at the end says, Comrade Nyoma, it's your country. If you come and ask weapons to fight, we give you that. If you say you're going to go to elections, it's your country. Are you going to win the elections? Then he said, well, with hard work, we'll win. It's your country. Same is true. We are observers. Observers in the UN terms were termed as saying that if you are organizing elections and controlling and supervising it, then you have to have a say in that. Observers stand and observe such and such issue, occurrence happened, 9 o'clock sharp, 2 people were killed, you report that. You don't get involved as observers. But as African brothers, we'll talk, as we have done, to advise each other, because it's a Congolese problem. Congolese must now decide they want to have peace in their country. It's they who have to run their country. It's their country. They will say, if you interfere too much, we are sovereign people. But we are trying to say, because there will be ramifications for neighboring countries. If things don't go right there, Angola will have problems, Zambia will have refugees, Ebola doesn't have boundaries, therefore we are worried about it. But Congolese must, as brothers and sisters, as mature people, hold hands. And therefore, as Odinga said, now that you have to hold hands. They said, and you saw me raising their hands when I went to their function there, to say, they said, we are brothers. And he told me when we were talking earlier, Kenya comes first. He said 2 of us. That was a very moving statement. So Angolans, Congolese must also, all of them, I don't blame one side, all of them must first say Congo first, and my ambition second.
Now, Excellency, how would you describe politics, both politics and economics, in the region for 2018?
Well, as we all know, we had a tough time, economic downturn. But whenever I go to African countries, I see something new. I was in Brazzaville, Congo, it was different. It looks nice. So there are pessimists. There are people in Namibia who want country to fail. I've never seen a thing like that, praying that things go wrong. But I will tell you, we are out of the woods, I think. Our economy is going to pick up, and we are going to have peace. We have to hold hands and move on to address poverty. As we said during the land conference, that they're squatting that informal sector is affecting human dignity. We are going to address it. These are the things we have to look forward to in a positive way and address. All of us, not somebody trying to pray, let them fail, please, let Namibia fail. How can citizens wish for that?
No,
That's
excellent.
the impression I'm getting from you guys. People are praying, I hope he fails.
With the emergence of social media, that is now the latest trend, well, perpetrated by, I would also say, politicians. But that brings me to our next topic, which are the international representation, Namibia's representation. You mentioned that as the SADC chairperson, you will have to travel not only as Namibia's president now. The fifth pillar of Harambee Prosperity Plan seeks to position Namibia as respected, being a respected member of the international community. You've undertaken several visits to various countries where the country gained grounds in bilateral, multilateral affairs as well. So talk to us about those. Of course, some were criticized, some were praised.
Well, firstly, presidents don't just stand up and beg and go, except for UN. Even UN, you are invited by Secretary General, and you say you are coming. All other places, you are invited. And if your president is popular and is being invited, there are some presidents who are never getting any invitations. But if you are asked, come and address us, come and address this, Namibians ought to be proud of that. But Namibians are speaking, looking for fault lines. He travels too much. I really enjoyed the front page of Namibian. That one trying to purport me as traveling. But I'm doing my job. And when you go to a country, are you listened to? That's the point. Why are you being invited? If you are a useless person, they will say, he's not going to contribute, therefore don't invite. We are invited, we are in demand. And as a SADC chairperson, of course, I have to do my job to solve or do about integration of Africa, integration of SADC. These are things that will be good for you after we are gone, that you have united Africa, that Africans trade with fellow Africans. These are the things we must pay attention to.
Mm-hmm. What about the trips? I would want us to talk more about the trips such as the FOCAC summit, such as the state visits and so on.
They are by invitation, as I answered. If you are a president, you are not invited, it's a shame. But FOCAC is also not Namibia. There were about 53 African countries. How do you account for that? It's going to a powerful country, number 2 power, having program for Africa. And African countries, not Hage, Geingob only. Did you only see me there? There were African countries who were there who don't even go to AU meetings. They were there, about 53. And therefore, we're discussing how China can help Africa. They talk about 60 billion US dollars. And that means not just a loan or so on, not just a bribery or so on. We will say, let Americans come with 70 billion and do the same. And say, we're not going to interfere in the what you call. And again, it's not a question of China to have free hand. I made it very clear that I copy from Chinese, that they said when I talked to them and said, comrades, why do we have all these capitalistic things here? They said, we opened our doors 30 years ago. We bring everybody here. But whoever comes here comes on our terms. The problem in Africa is people come on their own terms. We must just stop that. But if China is opening up, China bought Waldorf Astoria, famous place. They are buying up Europe. It's not only in Africa they are here. Why are people concerned about Africa only? While I was working in that small house, because we had Koreans there, we chased Koreans out because Americans and UN said so. Didn't the President of the United States go and shake hands with North Korean leader? Did I shake hands with North Korean leader? They did. So that's how the world is. And you are jumping on a bandwagon and just condemning your leaders. But the world is there open. It's a global village. And you have to go and make your mark in that world. Otherwise, if you're not respected, you're not going to be invited. If we are invited, always demanded to address meetings, you must be proud that Namibians are listened to, wanted, and so on to contribute.
Now, Excellency, your relationship with the media, I'm sure the producers are signaling me that time is running out, but your relationship with the media, it's always transparent, allow us to sit throughout the meetings, yet it has, for this year, been a bit sketchy, especially with the private media in Namibia. How was it for you?
You don't want to make use of freedom. Accessibility is not your habit. You were shocked apparently that I'm open. So you are looking for something else. Here is the person saying, come and listen, sit in, and you go and write some other stories. Not that it's been discussed, why do I have to waste my time? And I was warned by my friends. Hage, we have been doing the same too. But the press doesn't want good things. They want controversies. They sell papers that way. To me, we fought for freedom of press. Some people think we are doing press a favor. When apartheid was here, who was fighting? We were fighting for freedom of press, freedom of movement, freedom of expression. Those are the things we're fighting for, sacrificing for our youth. So therefore, it's whether you try to push me so that I can say free press must be interfered with, you will be disappointed. I told my dear friend Smith, may his soul rest in peace, I said, Mr. Smith, you can write and write and write. You want us to make you a martyr. You are not going to be arrested, write until you get tired. So those of you who are talking, talk, Hage is not going to put you in jail so that you can send to your bosses and say there is no freedom of press in Namibia. You're right. We fought for it. We brought the freedom of movement, freedom for sacrifices. People don't want to hear that. They think we are talking too much about it. It's wrong, it's irrelevant. But it's a fact that even Namibians' existence, we are involved in that. So definitely freedom of press, freedom of association, freedom of movement are the basic things we are fighting for. So free press will be guaranteed as long as I'm a president, as I said, as long as I'm in the office, free press will be guaranteed. When they are reducing themselves in gossip columns, that's your problem, not mine.
Now, Excellency, just lastly, can we get a glimpse of how the 2019 will look like for Geingob administration? Just a glimpse.
2019 will be the year of, as I said, accountability. We will account on everything because we are also going to account to our sovereign, the people who elected us. We are still going to account and say elect us or don't elect us. That's up to you. We have to account. It will be accounting by all ministries, accounting by my office because we get all the reports from the ministries and State of the Nation address. You will see me now accounting fully, not only for people to know, but to the electorate. Because they gave us the mandate, they say, look, we all cannot be governing. Under the Greek city-state, we always used to come together. People don't want to hear that. But as populations got bigger, we say now, let's have representative government. We will elect our representatives to represent us. We'll stay at home, but we'll watch you. Give you 5 years and watch you. If you fail not to fulfill what you promised, we'll remove you. That's democracy. That's why there is no need for coups, no need for crying. Just wait and remove people. We have every 5 years elections. That's why people must go there and remove Geingob or Swapo. Not gossiping around. Just work, contradict what they are saying, expose them when they are wrong. Then people are going to support you. But if Swapo is supported, if Geingob is supported because of what they stand for, what they account, and people believe that, don't call people stupid as we are doing. Don't call Northerners saying you are the ones who are giving Swapo 2/3 majority. What is wrong in them doing that? That's a democratic right. That's the freedoms we are talking about. Sometimes I'm wondering if you people have power, whether we'll be free in this country.
The young ones or the media.
You conclude.
Well, on that note, Excellency, I have to thank you for granting us the interview. I'm sure NBC will catch up with you in 2019 in the year of accountability.
I will account through you to the people, not to you, but through you to my bosses, the people.
The electorates, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that was President Hage G. Geingob giving us perspectives, various perspectives on domestic, regional, and international issues. Like I said, we'll catch up with him next year, and this was an exclusive. From myself, Blanche, and the production crew here at the Swapo State House, good night.